Muy buenas tardes a todos.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this press conference. I'm sharing the press conference, as you see, with the Transport Commissioner. Thank you, dear Commissioner, for joining me. Thank you for coming to Barcelona. And this very week, we're celebrating the European Week of Mobility, and therefore it's a great honor to host you and to host this meeting on behalf of the presidency and to hold this event as part of our semester of presidency on behalf of Spain. We, together with all the ministers, discussed in particular the role of transport as a fundamental basis for cohesion, social cohesion and territorial cohesion across Europe. We're all aware that we have to make strong progress to decarbonize transport. We have to take advantage of digitalization and the potential benefits thereof. And we also need transport policies that give the right answers and meet the needs of citizens. And this has to be true wherever they are, however rich or not they are, their social rank, status, and wherever they are geographically. Mobility is a right. It has to be equally exercised and available to all, regarding of where they live, in a small remote town, in a rural area, in a small remote village, or in a city or town, whether we're rich or poor, whether we're able to afford a car or not, whether we have physical disabilities or not. There should be no limit to our ability to access mobility. This is obviously evident. It's also essential for development, whether it's social or professional. It's essential to combat population loss, which is a problem across Europe in many areas. If people can't move, they can't easily find a career, and they'll migrate to where they find more opportunities, often to cities, where they create other difficulties while leaving a demographic gap where they went from. There are two aspects, therefore, to this question. On one hand, mobility is an essential tool for economic growth and competitiveness for our businesses and also for social and territorial cohesion, as was recognized in today's agenda. At the same time, there's an environmental footprint and there's a quality of life aspect for citizens. So there's a twofold challenge. We need to ensure everybody can have this right, access to transport, but at the same time, the footprint has to be limited. We need smart transport, more efficient transport. We have to encourage the least contaminating modes. We have to encourage electrification or intermodality, and so on. It's a delight, therefore, to be able to tell you that we're able to discuss all these challenges and pool our knowledge and exchange information during these two working sessions. And this has led to a joint declaration that everybody has signed, the Barcelona Declaration. This declaration recognizes the essential role of transport to guarantee equal opportunities and well-being and quality of life for all people, and the fact that all citizens have to have access, and we need a citizen-focused transport policy, but also all our policies have to be likewise focused on transport and citizen-focused so that no one is left behind. Mobility and transport policies must improve the quality of life of people. I'm very satisfied with the outcome of this very busy day. And as presidency of the European Union, we very much welcome the debate we were able to organize. We used the first working session to exchange experience from different countries, because all member states have been carrying out activities and experiments in this field. Because we share this recognition of the needs of our citizens and their entitlement to access to mobility. The second session was focused on governance and for policies in the mobility and transport sector. And again, we shared experience. And again, it's about linking different areas together, the ones with demographic population loss or age pyramids, or geographically isolated, whether they're islands or mountain areas. All these areas have to be linked together. There's a need for a holistic approach at all levels of government, including local, with an integrated approach to solution finding. And as I've said before, this was very satisfactory, and it should maybe reboost the discussions we're holding to ensure that we achieve through our policy mix a cohesive network across the whole of our territories. I'd like to also finally thank not only the ministers who came and the commissioner who came, but also all the people who worked tirelessly to make this possible. I'd also like to welcome Adina personally and thank her for her enthusiasm and commitment to her portfolio, but in today's work, but also throughout her work. And thank you again. And indeed, I'll give you the floor without further ado. Commissioner.
Ladies and gentlemen, Minister Sanchez, I'm happy to be in Barcelona today, one of Europe's gem of a city and one of Europe's oldest ports. So thank you, Minister, for organizing this council. We are in an exceptionally well-connected city. You reach Barcelona by high-speed train, plane, car, bus, ferry. But this, unfortunately, it is not the case for all European cities, towns, and villages. Good, diversified mobility brings prosperity for countries and regions. The lack of infrastructure or transportation options has a negative impact on our business and our economies. Our revised regulation on Trans-European Transport Network, the TEN-T, puts a great emphasis on cohesion. It aims at ensuring accessibility for all users and connectivity for all regions in the Union. This includes also better connectivity of rural and other remote and sparsely populated regions, and a seamless and efficient multimodal transport network across our Union. We have 25.8 billion euro available until 2027 under the Connecting Europe facility to continue develop our network. On top of the resources of the Connecting Europe Facility program, which focuses mostly on the TEN-T network and cross-border projects, we have 59.1 billion euros set aside for transport between 2021-2027 under the EU's cohesion policy. In addition, 681 million euros has been earmarked for cross-border cooperation at regional level. There is great flexibility for member states and for regions to tailor cohesion policy support to their local needs. They can, for instance, improve regional rail and local public transport services, the regional road network, or rural urban links. I'm telling you about this budget because this indicates the importance that we attach to transport. Connectivity is a priority for the Commission, and it will remain so. And we need more connectivity. Citizens are demanding more transport solutions, not less. Transport options which are also accessible to all and not just a few. I rest here, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Adina.
Muchas gracias, compañeros. Por favor, os pido.
Right. Okay, dear colleagues, if you wish to ask a question, please raise your hand and introduce yourself and your media and who the question is for. This is the question answer session after the Council of Ministers meeting. Please stick to the points on the agenda in your questions, if you have any.
Yes. Does it work? Yes. Thank you. Frank Hütten from Deutsche Verkehrszeitung, the German transport journal. I would like to ask if you also talked about legislative files which are connected to this, like the driving license directive, for example. There were proposals from the parliament this week which could make it more difficult for people to drive, for young people to drive. Was this topic brought up by colleagues? Was it discussed? And what was the view on, for example, abolishing the accompanied driving program that the Commission has proposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bien, quiero recordar que...
Well, first of all, this is an informal council, so we focused on particular questions that had been framed for the informal meeting, the ones I described earlier about transport as cohesion tool for society and for different parts of our territory. However, we are an ambitious presidency, and that involves all the road security safety aspects, and the directive that has been referred to is also very much on the agenda on driving licenses. At the formal ministers meeting in December, we hope we'll have a general council position outline. Clearly, it's an important challenge. On one hand, you want to increase road safety, given the different groups we are talking about and different sets of stakeholders. So in answer to your question, we didn't talk about it today in this informal. However, these are issues that are very much on our radar and that we intend to go on working on.
¿Alguna pregunta más?
Any other questions?
Buenas tardes. Alejandro.
From Telecinco, a question for the minister. In the aid package, the inflation package, which the government has promised, which parts, if any, are set aside for transport or transport-related issues, especially local transport? Well, says the minister, it wasn't really on the agenda for today's informal meeting because it is an informal council, and you have to draw the distinction between them. There are a number of measures taken by royal decree in Spain to meet the challenges of price hikes due to the Russian war of aggression and inflation. All of these measures have been taken because we're concerned about the price situation, and we're aware as a government that things have to be done, and we believe we have done in a timely and appropriate way what could be done, what needed to be done to help the vulnerable, to answer sectors, to leave no one behind, to protect strategic sectors, of which transport is one. In these difficult times, we have done so at different moments. We will continue to apply these measures whenever they are necessary and wherever it is necessary. The measures you mentioned are supposed to run to the 30th of December. As you already know, we didn't discuss them today, but everyone who took the floor agreed, all the ministers agreed, that if we want to decarbonize transport, if we believe that trains are the most sustainable way to go forward, if we want to take things off the road and put them on rail, then a number of measures need to be taken. Free or subsidized short transport links, subsidized or other incentives for short haul or medium haul, and other price facilitating means to encourage public transport uptake are very much on the agenda. Many member states, if not all of them, are taking similar measures or already have them. And the outcomes so far have been very positive.
For the Commissioner, you mentioned all the funds that are available for the TEN-T network. And regarding this, I would like to know what is your assessment of the current state of the works in the Mediterranean corridor here in Spain?
Well, thank you for the question. Spain is a country which has tremendous needs in terms of infrastructure because you have a vast. On the other hand, it's a country which can set an example, and it's an example I'm always using with the high speed between Madrid and Barcelona, and that's why measures to ban air connection between two cities below 500 kilometers, I do not appreciate. If we put in place alternative, positive connection as high-speed train, people will naturally migrate towards this type of connection. We don't need to ban anything, we need to build a lot. So as I said, Spain still has a lot of projects we are eager to invest in. She needs better connectivity towards France. Of course, France has to agree on that too, which it is. Let's be honest. We put on the network these connections, and we are ready to help you with all your projects. But as I said, we need also your help to set examples on how to build sustainable infrastructure and provide good services to citizens without very intrusive measures. And since the Minister mentioned the subsidies, actually in the conversation today, I said that subsidies taken in some of the European countries for one thing or another actually are not helping the cohesion at European level. Because always some countries will afford to give huge subsidies and other nothing. And then the citizens who are supposed to have good connectivity in the same internal transport market, they will have a disadvantage one in front of others, and this is not at all helping. But competition, we do believe, we have to stick with the competition because this is going to bring lower prices and better services. I'm sorry, Raquel, I went a bit around to the question.
M'agradaria saber l'opinió de la ministra sobre...
Question for the Minister. A question to the Minister about the aid package, the Commission reaction to proposals you've made about some of the steps that have been taken. The question is being asked in Catalan, which the interpreter only partially understands. There's a new tax on emission contamination, which will be a sort of double whammy for a lot of users and consumers. To what extent will this have a deleterious effect? The Minister, I answered a similar question, indeed to your same media, about this very point. We clarified our position and the fact that we have contacted the Commission about this. It's about a measure and the pay-for-use approach, but the new addendum or amendment is currently being renegotiated, as you implied. There are alternatives that are being proposed. We know that we need to invest in our roads, maintenance and upgrading, and we want to do what is necessary, but we also want to be able to withdraw the measure which and the types of vehicles that were covered, so that it can be withdrawn, no longer used, and we want to have instead rail links to decongestionize roads and cut pollution, and to have a modal shift. And a number of measures have been put forward. I think they're broadly welcomed and well received. But when the measure was first prepared, it was one particular context. Now it's slightly a different context. There's the impact of the war in Ukraine and other things that have happened. We've had to help various strategic sectors, transport being one of them. Therefore, alternative measures were needed, which we think will achieve the same ultimate aim. But these are still ongoing negotiations, if you like. We're optimistic about them. But at the end of the day, we share the same wish to have a modal shift that decarbonizes transport and shifts mobility onto the railways. And in order to do that, to boost railway travel, many governments are taking or have taken measures that include subsidies, such as making public transport free or rail transport free. This helped cut inflation, helped many families that had economic problems, but also helped encourage people to take public transport. The objective itself is justified and justifies measures to be taken. This is something at a national level and at a European level that is important to avoid discrimination within member states or between member states. I think we've achieved our initial objective, which is to help the domestic economy, help citizens, and encourage people to use public transport in its various forms. And we need multimodal connection networks, nationally and internationally. And the ones that don't exist have to be built. The ones that exist have to be developed so we can move freely without bottlenecks. It's an ambitious objective. Spain is fully committed to it. And we've already shown that through the investments in the Mediterranean and Atlantic corridors. But, and as we've said before, and again today in this meeting, we said we need all countries to make the same efforts, particularly when it has cross-border links. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Damiani for Agence Europe. Did you talk about the French proposal of minimum price tickets for planes? Thank you.
Pues mire, no.
Well, we did not discuss it. We don't know about the details of the proposal. It wasn't on the agenda. Since this was an informal meeting, so we're not familiar with the details. A proposal of this sort would require very detailed analysis so we could understand it and see how it could fit into the legal framework. The air transport sector is liberalized across the whole of the EU. So it would have, in any case, to be rigorously analyzed in economic terms, in terms of its air transport impact and its effective use. And we certainly haven't seen any concrete details about it, so it wasn't discussed today in the informal. One last question, if anybody has a question to ask.
The minister mentioned that you discussed about examples from the member states of projects. Can you maybe mention one or two which were brought up, projects or examples which enhance the connectivity and the cohesion between member states? Thank you.
Bueno, se planteaban.
Well, a lot of examples were mentioned. And of course you have to bear in mind that every country is different, and there are so many diverse territories within countries of Europe. So people use a range of options, including digital and other new technologies, based on their mobility needs as understood. For instance, on-demand transport for people who don't have a railway access. This can be shared shuttles shared cars, carpooling on demand, so that citizens in remote or less populated areas can have easy access to the actual network hubs. But that's possible. So there were examples like that. There were other countries that spoke because they're on the periphery or are islands or have a lot of islands as part of their territory. And depending on where you are and where you come from, you have different proposals and different ideas. The connectivity challenges are different. If you're an island, it can be more about helping air transport links develop. But it depends where you are. I think what we did here was a wide range of experience which we can all learn from, and which I think in the ongoing month everybody will be analyzing to see how we can work together towards the December Council and actually getting a position we can agree and get what's working to work for us too, and learn from each other. Thank you all.
Gracias.
Thank you.